right, so today in social studies, we are going to be looking at the concept of life expectancy. So before we get started, in your own words, what I want you to do is I want you to describe what you think life expectancy means. Use context clues from the terms to come up with your response. Now that you responded to that question, I want you to also think about this question, okay? So how does life expectancy deal with the concept of scarcity? So in our class, we have been really focusing on what scarcity is and what it means. So scarcity, in short, means when someone or a group of people is living without enough of something, okay? So how does life expectancy correlate with the concept of scarcity? Answer that question. In short, life expectancy is the average lifespan of a newborn, okay? So it's the average lifespan a newborn can expect or have an idea they're going to live until. However, life expectancy is short when more child deaths are common. It is a known fact around the world that child deaths are more common in some countries than others. So what kinds of resources do you think countries don't have or countries are living without when child deaths are more common? Now we're going to just jump right into it and we're going to look at a life expectancy graph. Okay, so on the y-axis right here, we have life expectancy in years. On the x-axis right here, we have the income per person. So we're comparing it to dollars just because in the United States, we're used to dollars. Right now, I want you to take a look at this graph, okay? How do you think life expectancy correlates with someone's income? Answer that question and make a prediction. In order to read this graph a little bit further, these are some notes that you need to know. This is a scatter plot graph. So a scatter plot graph doesn't necessarily show a straight line or different bars. It has different dots plotted around on the graph, okay? But these dots mean different things. The bigger the dot is, the more populated the country is, or the area of the world is. So if it's a really big dot, that means that it has 1 billion people, okay? The different colors of the dots mean that it's reflecting different areas of the world, as you can see on this map. So if the if the dot is yellow, that means we're looking at a country in North or South America. If a dot is orange, we're looking at a country that is in Europe or in this part of Asia, so mostly Russia. If we're looking at a light blue dot, we're probably looking at countries like India. And if we're looking at a red dot, we're looking at China, Indonesia, and Australia. And that's what the certain dots mean on this graph. Now what I would like you to do, I would like you to make note of anything that is jumping out at you on this graph. Is there anything that is shocking about what you are seeing? Right now, we are going to do a life expectancy example of a country called Burundi. We are also going to be doing a life expectancy example of a country called Sweden. Burundi is blue, so that means it's in this area of Africa. And Sweden is the color orange, meaning that country is in somewhere in this area, but it is actually in Europe. So the question we're going to be looking at for Burundi is, can you get old in Burundi? Burundi is right over here in Africa. Okay, so we are going to look at the expected life of 5 newborn Burundians in 2007. So this is Pierre, this is Liz, this is Jen, this is Anne, and this is Sarah, okay? So we're gonna look at the difference in their life expectancies or the ages they actually have reached. So how long will they live? Right now, what I want you to do is I want you to make a prediction. How long do you think they're gonna live? Okay, so let's get started. If the conditions remain as in Burundi in 2007 during their whole lifetime. So Pierre lived to 1 year old, Liz lived to 36, Jean lived to 57, Anne lived to the great age of 72, and Sarah lived to 84. We had 1 child death out of the 5, 2 adult deaths because 36 and 57 are well into adulthood, and we had 2 older deaths. So Anne had 72 and Sarah had 84. So you can get old in Burundi. 2 of the 5 people that we are looking at did. So now what I want you to do is I want you to calculate the mean. I know in math already you have talked about this. The mean is the average age of the people here, okay? And this is how you would set up that problem. I'm going to use a pen and I'm actually going to do some math. So you're going to have 1 representing Pierre's age, and then you add it to another age. So another age that Liz lived was 36. Jean lived to 57. Anne lived to, oops, I have to do 57. I was getting a little ahead of myself. Anne lived to 72. And then Sarah lived to 84, okay? So you add up all the ages first, okay? So add all of these up first. Then what you are going to do is you are going to divide whatever number you got up there by the amount of people we're looking at. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then you would divide that number by 5. And that's how you get the average age of people in Burundi. So right now, do that math. After you do that math, you should get the number 50. So the average life expectancy is 50 years in Burundi. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at Sweden and Burundi. So let's think of the difference between Sweden and Burundi. So right now the difference between Sweden and Burundi is 31 years. In Sweden, people are expected to live to 81 years old. In Burundi, people are expected to live 50 years old. Why do you guys think that is? Look at all the instances in the graph, okay? Maybe look at the x-axis. How do you think income per person could affect life expectancy? All right, so now we're going to take a good look at Sweden. Do all Swedes live 31 years longer than the Burundians? Sorry, it got a little cut off at the bottom. So let's take a look. Look at the expected life of 5 newborn Swedes in 2007. We got her, Lisa, Jan, Anton, and Sarah. How long will they live if the conditions remain as in Sweden in 2007 during their whole lifetime? Her lived to 63. Lisa lived to 77. Jan lived to 84. Anton lived to 88. And Sarah lived to 93. So we have 1 adult and 4 old. Now let's calculate the mean. So we're going to do some math. So we have 63 from Per. We got 77 from Lisa. We got 84 from Jan. We got 88 from Anton. And then we got 93 from Sarah. So add those numbers up, and since we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people, we're going to divide that big number by 5 to get the mean. So that's how we would set up our math problem, and the average life expectancy is 81. So 81 years is the amount of people live typically in Sweden. So we're going to compare Burundi to Sweden right now, okay? So we got all of our characters from Sweden, and their life expectancy is 81. Now we got all of our characters from Burundi, and their life expectancy is 50. Okay? To live long in Sweden is almost the same as to live long in Burundi. So if we look right here, our oldest crowd lives to a comparable age. But dying young in Sweden is very different from dying young in Burundi. I want you to take a moment. Why are they so different? So we have Per and we have Pierre. Why is dying young so different compared to Sweden than in Burundi? So, in fact, no, it's not necessarily true that all Burundians live 31 years less than Swedes do. It's just that their life expectancy is different because there's more child deaths. So life expectancy is an average. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to live that long. Most Burundians do get older than 50. However, some may die in childhood. Life expectancy is low when more child deaths are common. It is low in Burundi, not because they all die a bit earlier, just because some die younger. Was this what you expected from life expectancy?